Hey guys, what is going on? My name is Ryan, this is the Analytic Gengar, and welcome to another one of our videos. This is part 2 of 4 of our ongoing series, my Pokemon card collection. I'll probably come up with a better name that'll actually be the title for this stuff, but in the meantime, that's what we're rolling with. So thank you guys so much for your support, thank you so much for engaging. In case you missed it, this is the last video linked down below in our description, and basically what we're doing is taking a look at all of the different stuff that I currently have in my collection. The first video, in case you missed it, was our sealed products, which are basically some blisters and a couple booster packs. No booster boxes yet, but stay tuned. And then our second video today is going to be error cards. Our next video is going to be miscellaneous and some banned cards. And finally, but not least, our fourth video is going to be my high-end stuff. And then after that, we'll do some periodic updates whenever new stuff comes in that you guys might be interested in. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Today's flavor is the error card Pokemon collection. So just so you know, error cards are where I got my start. That's what first attracted me to Pokemon card collecting in any meaningful capacity, and sort of got me back into the hobby. And then I kind of went asleep again, and then I woke back up again for Hidden Fates. So I've had a couple different reawakenings, but I think I finally caught the bug enough that I'm going to want to continue to collect. So up first is this first edition Charmander. The reason that this is an error card is that this first edition stamp is actually significantly lighter, and it's called a gray stamp Pokemon card. So gray stamp cards are basically what happened when there was low ink in the print. And just for comparison, I'll briefly bring in another one. So as you can see, this one is significantly lighter than this one. So that's what a gray stamped Pokemon card is. It's a pretty straightforward concept, but you know, I just thought it'd be interesting and fun to have one in my collection as well. So that's what a gray stamp card is. Next up is a Blastoise. So just so you guys know, these cards are in no particular order. I tried to put them in order of year, but then of course there was some hopping around that went back and forth, so here we are. But anyway, so up here is a Blastoise. What's interesting with this Blastoise is that it's missing the stage of the Pokemon that you need to put it on. So typically it'll say like, put Blastoise on the stage 1 Pokemon, referring to Wartortle. But in this case, it actually doesn't have that. It's just missing that text right off the bat. So that is the error on that card. Pretty funny. Next up is this Wartortle. So although there's no particular order to these Pokemon cards, I will take time to sort of point out the more hilarious errors. So the gray stamp and the missing stage, they're kind of subtle because you might miss them. And then there are other ones where if you're looking at the card long enough, you might realize what the problem is. For this Wartortle, what's funny is that it evolves from Wartortle. So right up here in the corner, you'll see that it's actually a Wartortle. So it should be a Squirtle, and then it evolves into Wartortle, but instead it has the same art back to back. So what's actually pretty funny, what's cool is that PSA actually recognizes this error as its own type of error. So it's the evolution box error. And in case you're curious, sometimes PSA does not recognize those errors like the gray stamp or the missing stage. Next up is our ink Blot Hunter. Basically when they were printing cards, there was some blue ink that sort of bled onto some cards and created this sort of smear. So that's what you're seeing right here. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward, not the rarest error in the world, but you know, something to keep an eye out for. It's pretty cool, it's pretty quirky, and it's a pretty card from what it's worth. And just in case you're curious, there's a Ghastly and then a Haunter if you've never noticed it, so that's why the Wartortle looks kind of funny. Next up is our Dark Dragonite from Rocket. So what's cool about this one is that a couple thousand of these, about 5,000 to be precise, were printed as non-holographic. And in Rocket, you were supposed to have all your rares be holographic cards, but this card was not printed as a holographic. So as you can see, it's just a flat card, which does in fact make it an error card. Next up is Dark Raichu. So for Dark Raichu, what's interesting about Dark Raichu is two things, and I will actually need to reference this Dark Dragonite in order to make both comparisons. So the first thing of note is that if you look at the Pikachu and you see the background, it's very light gray, For Rocket, they were going for this darker gray. So the whole point was that it was supposed to be a darker gray background and then the pre-evolution on top. Over here, the background used is very similar to the original background used, as if this little cutout was taken from the original base set of cards. So this lighter background is the first error. The second error is that you should see something to the effect of put Dark Dragonite on the stage 1 card, and you can see that right here. Let me go ahead and make the camera focus. Focus. Okay, so you can kind of make it out. There you go. So put Dark Dragonite on the stage 1 card. Over here it says put Raichu on the basic Pokemon, even though it's Dark Raichu. So it should say Dark Raichu. So this is kind of like a double error, because the box should be darker and it should say Dark Raichu on the basic Pokemon. So those are the 2 errors with that particular card. Next up is a card from our Instagram that you might have already seen. It's the D Error Butterfree. And again, PSA recognizes that as an error, so that's pretty cool. Basically all it is that this D had an ink bubble on it, so when they were trying to print the 1, it ended up looking like a D. So your first edition stamp actually says D edition. So, you know, pretty straightforward, pretty cool. I like it. It's a simple card. It's, you know, pretty nice though, so that's pretty cool. Next up, we have a Mewtwo promo card. Make the camera focus again. So what's cool about this error card is that the Wizards of the Coast logo is flipped upside down. So this is one of those errors that's actually pretty hilariously misplaced. It should be up here, but it's not. It's flipped upside down on the bottom of the card. So just a glaringly obvious error card that I love, because it's actually funny that this got through quality control. Speaking of error promo cards, here's a Dragonite error card. Now you might be asking yourself, well, okay, what's the difference? So 2 things. 1, this is how the stamp should look. So the stamp should have a gold foil to it, as you can see the gold foil right there. This card has the stamp in the right place, but it doesn't have the gold foil. What ended up happening with this card, let me see if I can't get it to focus for a little bit and get us what we want here. Oh wow, okay, cool. So as you can see right there, right here, you see the sort of indentation for the print, but it never gold foiled. And that's because the foil ran out on the press. So the card is impressed with the logo, but is not gold foiled. It's not recognized as an error, strangely enough. Neither of the 2 promo cards have that error addressed. So that's actually pretty funny. So the populations of these cards isn't necessarily clear, because we can't tell what is and isn't a promo or an error card. But both of these cards come from the same lot, and both of them are pretty funny, because one's just missing it and one has it flipped upside down. So I love these error cards because they're just hilariously error, and it's like, what were they doing? Speaking of funny errors, this Persian has no HP, so that's good. Again, so what's good about this is that they recognize this one, so you know the exact population. It's actually a pretty popular card, and it's a pain to grade because this hollow pattern is like glass. So it's all over the place and you can get pretty scratched up pretty quickly. But no HP, pretty funny. You know, at least they recognize that as a pretty obvious error. Seeking from base set 2. So this Seeking is interesting because right over here, oh geez. I apologize to anyone who may be going, like, breaking their ears trying to listen in on this stuff. Okay. Alright, there you go. So right over here it says put Seeking on the stage 1 card. It's not stage 1. Goldeen is a basic Pokemon card. So the error over here is that they put Goldeen and they said she was a stage 1. She's actually a basic Pokemon, and therefore it should say put Seeking on the basic Pokemon card. So that is the error with this Pokemon card, for anyone who is curious. We're down to 2 more cards. So our first one, we're going to go way back, or way forward actually, from where we were in the 90s and the early 2000s. We're going to go to 2003. So we have this Aquapolis Lantern. And what's funny is that it has the Pokebody ability, so basically like an ability, but it doesn't have anything, so it's just blank. So they printed it, and then they just didn't put a Pokebody there. So it has its 2 attacks, but normally text follows this that says what the special ability is. It doesn't have any text, it just has that there for no good reason. And finally but not least, what I think accidentally ended up being a really, really rare card is this fella right here. So this is a 1999 IV Pikachu. IV Pikachu, because of that green background, it's also like a computer generated image instead of an animation. What's cool about this is that it is both a first edition card and a promo card, and that's actually not true. So IV Pikachu was actually meant to not be in a promo card, but actually in Jungle. And within Jungle, you have a 1 in 10 booster box chance of pulling this card. So apparently very, very few of these Error cards were ever made. And what's also interesting is that 1 in every 360 packs has one of these. Now, I checked PSA as of the time of this video, and there are only 20 of these cards in the world. So this is a pretty rare error. And then on top of that, very few graded cards exist. And then on top of that, you have to bear in mind that first edition Jungle boxes are also getting rarer and rarer to come by as we go. So for what it's worth, this card is pretty much rarer than most, if not all, Gold Star cards that you'll find. I don't necessarily know what the worth of this card is, only because there's so little, backing it. But what's really cool about this card is that it's a fossil Pokemon card. They completely goofed because they put the promo print instead of the fossil print. And then on top of that, it's just so exceedingly rare that I think any Pikachu collector will find this card as something of note. But yeah, guys, so that is our Error card collection. Thanks so much for joining today's video. If you guys have any comments, let us know down below. Do you have any Error cards? Feel free to let us know down below. And then in addition to that, thank you so much for all your support, your likes, your comments, your subscriptions. It means the world to us. So feel free to follow us over on Instagram if you haven't already. We do daily Poke things over that way. And yeah, guys, thanks so much for the support again. We look forward to seeing you guys next week for the miscellaneous and Error card video. And then after that, if you guys have anything else you want to see, or if you want to do a TCG Toolkit episode, let us know. Throw your suggestions. Feel free to reach out to me over on Insta or here, and I'll try to respond to you and get something going. But thanks again so much for the support. Thank you again for joining and checking out today's video, and we look forward to seeing you guys soon. Bye.